On this episode, a man in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, says Sasquatch communicate with him and others using a set of symbols fashioned out of twigs, leaves, and stones that they leave on trails. He calls this form of communication glyphs.
People are always asking me, what do these symbols mean? A lot of people are trying to put together an alphabet like of these things, right? And they're trying to figure out, they think it's just a standard meaning across the board, but that's not my experience. My experience is that if they're for you, you're going to personalize them according to what you think they are.
This podcast is brought to you by halloftheparanormal.com. William J. Hall is the author of The World's Most Haunted House, the true story of the Bridgeport poltergeist on Lindley Street. This is really a classic in the paranormal field, a very chilling account of this well-documented haunting that was witnessed by police and other emergency responders and priests. Well, William has a neat new paranormal shopping site called halloftheparanormal.com. Why don't you visit and check it out, and you'll get a 20% off code, a 179-page ebook called Humorous Hauntings, plus a subscription to Bill's newsletter. There's so much on the website. There's ghost hunting equipment, salt lamps, incense burners, even jewelry, gift baskets, and more. So check it out at halloftheparanormal.com. That's halloftheparanormal.com. HALL of theparanormal.com. Happy Friday. Hope you had a great week. The weather is grand, isn't it? But it's only early June and my Toronto Blue Jays are already fading fast. They are heading south. This is going to be a rough year for us Jays fans, I'll tell you that much. Maybe I should take up bird watching instead of baseball. I was just reading the accounts of this bird watcher who was in Waterton National Park, which is in Alberta. And he was scanning the tree line through his binoculars when he saw some movement and thought he was looking at a grizzly bear. But then this creature walked out of the trees into a clearing on two legs, and its movement he described was very fluid, not like a bear's, and it walked quickly. It was perhaps 8 feet tall. It had dark brown hair, much darker than the local cinnamon black bears, large shoulders, a bulky body like a silverback gorilla, well-defined pectorals. His arms were swinging as it walked, but not overly long, and occasionally the creature would crouch down, and it would do so with ease. And it took no notice of him. Eventually, it disappeared back into the woods. This bird watcher was initially a complete skeptic, but is now a firm believer in Sasquatch. So too is my next guest. He hasn't seen them from afar through binoculars. He's had much closer, more intimate encounters, although he would describe them as more spiritual and telepathic in nature than actual physical encounters with Sasquatch. In the early spring of 2012, Brian Bland was walking his dogs along the Dykes in his hometown of Maple Ridge, BC, when he suddenly glanced up at the mountains. Something was calling him, and he knew he had to get up there. It was much more than a feeling and something he would grow familiar with in the ensuing years. What unfolded and continues to happen is a beautiful relationship with the Sasquatch people. They have given him insight into who they are and, more importantly, who he is. Because, as he says, it really becomes more about yourself in many ways. Early on, he discovered that they communicate with a form of stick writing called glyphs. Brian Bland, welcome to Conspiracy Unlimited. How are you?
I'm good, Richard. Can I say that I'm really, really honored to and excited to talk about the Sasquatch people. It's really in my heart, and I'm really excited to talk to you. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have you on, because this is a fascinating story that you have. This involves Bigfoot communication, Sasquatch communication. First of all, tell the people where you're from, where you're living right now, and what that area is like.
Well, I live in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, and I'm just like 10 minutes away from the woods, and it's great. It's woods, mountains, rivers. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
So you're surrounded by virtually untamed wilderness. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, not surrounded, but if I go 10 minutes, geez, my directions are horrible. But if I go 10 minutes this way, if you can imagine, then I'm in the woods, yeah, and then it's like, yeah, I can go forever, yeah. Yeah.
And your first encounter with the Bigfoot, explain that.
Well, it wasn't so okay. Well, I was walking my dogs along the Dykes in Maple Ridge, or actually in Pet Meadows to be more precise, which is a little kind of part of Maple Ridge. And I got it wasn't a feeling. It was like, it's the first time I experienced this. And now in retrospect, I understand it completely because it happens all the time and it's developed and everything. But I just looked up into the mountains and I thought, something is calling me. It was a really strong call to go up there. And, shortly after that, I got a hold of a guy that I saw on actually a Sasquatch site. It was actually called Bigfoot Encounters, I guess by the late Bobby Short. And I saw that this guy was actually local to me. So I sent him a Facebook request, and before I knew it, I was going out into the woods with him, and things pretty well took off right away.
You said it was, sorry, excuse me, Brian, but you said it was calling. Was this telepathically? Was this audible? What did it sound like?
It was a thought impression. It was a feeling. I have had mine speak as well, but a lot of the stuff they do are just like thought impressions, It was just, like I said, it was not a feeling. It was a very strong knowing that I had to get up into the woods there.
And was there a specific message?
Not at that particular time, just that I knew I had to go up there. But then things started unfolding. Like I said, I got a hold of this fellow Randy Brisson, and we started going up there together, and I met other people, and they connect people. I found out as you go along, they connect people. That's what they do.
Sasquatch connects people.
Absolutely, man. They absolutely do.
So when you first had this telepathic communication, if I can use that expression, what led you to conclude that it was Sasquatch? Had you researched before? Did you know much about Sasquatch? Did you expect that this is a way that they might try and communicate? Did you know about this?
No. I didn't even really know it was Sasquatch, I don't think. I just knew something was calling me. And then, but at that time, I've always been fascinated with them. And, I was looking on a lot of websites and whatever, so I don't think I knew it was specifically them at that time, but, like I said, I did get a hold of this fellow, and I found out it was them, very shortly after. But.
So after you started exploring the woods with this community that you've met on Facebook, when was your second encounter, or third, or?
Well, as soon as I went out with this fella, we went out, and we were just like 5 minutes into our walk, and he pointed to something on the ground, and he said, "Do you see those little peeled sticks there?" And I looked at them, and I saw that there was a little design. It certainly didn't look random. It looked like it was arranged, with intelligence. And he said, "Sasquatch do that." And, for about 2 or 3 years, I never had my face off the path, to be honest. I was just fascinated with it. And they started communicating with me with their stick language, like all the time. It was like, it's like an education. It's like kindergarten to grade 1 to grade 2. They kept adding things, making it a little more complex until I could understand what they were talking about. And then they would move on, and make it sort of like, school, like, 2 times, and then it's the 4 times tables, and then multiplication kind of thing.
Interesting. Whatever. Can you describe some of the characters that the Sasquatch use, that they fashion out of these twigs? Do they use just twigs or stones, leaves?
Yeah, they use them all. Some of them are very artistic and creative. There's one female in particular that's very artistic, and she uses a lot of leaves. And they also will use rocks, and quite often that will represent them. A rock will represent, like if there's 5 rocks with the glyph, that's what we call them, glyphs. It'll mean that there's five of them.
Now, these are not just random designs. Are there repeating symbols so that if you see 2 sticks arranged in a certain way, this means this? If you see a stone with a leaf, this means this. Has anyone actually trying to catalog this and figure out if they can decipher this language?
Well, not long. I think about a year or two into it, I found out that, you see, it's telepathic in a lot of ways, and it's also, like I said, they can place thoughts in your head and they can read your thoughts. So they actually, if they're trying to communicate with you, they will customize their glyphs according to what you understand them to be. For instance, some of them have, like, some of the clan members, I call them the clan, the family group that I know, they will put their initials or their signatures in the glyphs, and sometimes they'll weave them into, like, complete sentences and complex or whatever, but that didn't happen until I, learned a little more. But yes, I mean, like, H stands for a certain member of the clan, and A does, and for, and I got to know all that, whatever, so.
How often do you find these glyphs when you go out in the woods?
I used to find them all the time. I'm not finding them as much now because they're not needed as much with me now. I still find them, but I used to find them, like, constantly.
And where are they placed, along a well-trodden footpath, or do you have to go looking for them?
They can be anywhere. They can be way, way off trail. They can be right on the trail. Sometimes they'll be on the trail, and when you come back, they're gone. Sometimes I've actually had them change right before my eyes, even. Like
Say again?
Yeah. I've okay, well, one time, I just got out of my car, and I noticed one right by the car, like when I'm parking to go on my hike or whatever, and I looked at it, and I knew it was them because I recognized it by I recognize it by experience, and I took a picture of it, and something caught my attention to the left. So I looked to my left for just a few seconds, and then when I looked back, it was obviously moved. A piece had been picked up and taken over a part of the glyph that was actually off the ground, so it wasn't flat on the ground, so the piece that moved had to actually have been picked up and put over top of the elevated part, and then it was tucked in. And it was just so, I've got pictures of before and after, and actually when I came back an hour later, it was completely changed again.
How do you imagine they would do that? Have they told you how they do that?
Well, they can cloak and whatever. I mean, they can be invisible and be right beside you. So, I mean, they haven't told me how they do it, but I know they can cloak and stuff. So I would think that's one possibility.
What's the longest sort of string of glyphs that you've seen in terms of the number of characters, roughly?
Okay, well, I mean, I'll tell you a really interesting story, but actually I just wanted to tell you because I didn't answer your question properly. Yeah, I've seen these glyphs all over the place. I've seen them in Oregon, Washington, everywhere I've gone, actually, I see them. So, I eliminated the chance that it was any chance that it was people. There's just no way. I mean, I've seen them everywhere I go, and they play around with them everywhere I go too. So, as far as the longest one I've seen, well, like I said, some of them will read like sentences, and can I tell you a story of a really?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I was talking on a radio show a while back, or not a while back, in 2012, and one of the ladies, the host said, "Why don't you make your own glyph, your own signature glyph? Like what I mean by that is something that they can associate me with."
Right.
So I did that, and I noticed that, they started playing around with it. They started moving it and changing it, and then I started noticing once in a while that it was that they actually incorporated it into some of their glyphs, and like they wove it together with like H's and A's, which I told you stands for other clan members or whatever, and they had my name in there. And so one time I was probably the most spectacular incident with that, in that regard, was I was walking in the woods, and I saw just one that was like, it had the H, the A, the 4, It had them all woven together. These are not just like, these are like, they go under and over. I mean, they're intricate. And it had my bee in there too. And as soon as I seen it, I knew what it meant. It also had an open triangle kind of thing on top, which is like a roof, a roof of protection kind of thing. So as soon as I seen it, I knew we're family, we're connected, we're protecting you, we're watching you, and whatever. And it was really emotional. I was like totally emotional when I saw it. It was like, wow, this is just so beautiful. And so at that time, I was sharing everything on Facebook. Well, I still do. I still share everything freely because I want people to learn about it, right?
Right,
because
right.
It's a beautiful thing. So anyway, so I got home and I had like, at that time I was taking a lot of pictures. I think I took like 160 pictures or something that day. Yeah. And probably 50 or 60 of them were glyphs. Like in those days, they were just all, they were doing them a lot. And so I took the picture and I was excited. And then about half an hour later on my hike, I said, I better make sure I have that picture because I'm going to go back and I'll take it again because I really was excited about it. The message was so beautiful. It was personal. It was touching. So I got home and I put all 160 pictures on Facebook. And I was talking to my friend Tom Cantrell and my girlfriend, Sue, and we were discussing it, and I was telling them, what it meant, and, we were talking about it or whatever, and about 5 minutes in to the discussion, I noticed there was only 159 pictures on Facebook. That one had somehow been removed. And not only that, my friend Tom had, because we were kind of working on glyphs and whatever, we had an interest in it. We were kind of had a little project going on about them. He saved that particular picture to his hard drive because it was an important one. And so anyway, so as it turned out, that picture was taken off Facebook, the only one that was taken off Facebook. It disappeared from Tom's hard drive. And I checked my actual camera, and it was gone off of my camera too. Every other picture was on there.
My word!
Yeah.
So,
but I know why. I know why. In retrospect, I thought about it later, and it was because that was only for me. And plus, they also wanted to show me what they could do. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they are telepathic. They have. They have the ability of, what would you say, telekinesis. They are psychic.
Mm-hmm.
They're also social media savvy.
Yes, yes.
Fascinating. So,
I want to tell you, like, just an example of this. Sorry, Richard, but for instance, I'll be going along and I'll think, I wonder if a thought will pop into my head, like. And, they put the thought in my head. I wonder if they left a glyph by my car, for instance. That thought will come into my head, and then I walked up to the car, and there was an elaborate glyph right there. Or just things like that. I'll think of something, and then they'll show me, like, right away. Like,
right.
Immediately.
Are you now fairly fluent in Sasquatch glyphs? Would you consider yourself to be fluent?
I'm fluent in the ones that that are for me.
Right.
People are always asking me, what do these symbols mean? A lot of people are trying to put together an alphabet, like, of these things, right? And they're trying to figure out, they think it's just a standard meaning across the board. But that's not my experience. My experience is that if they're for you, they're going to personalize them according to what you think they are.
Right.
Because they can read your mind, and they will do it that way. Like, for instance, like R.E., one of the clan members, Rajase, Fortuna, these names, I did have one name actually come into my head that they gave me, but these other names, other people that got me going initially gave me these names. And then I realized, and they started interacting with me according to my understanding of that, but I'm not really even sure if that is their name. But it doesn't matter because they interact with me according to that understanding, right? So I think A means R.E., the clan leader, the message with the A in it will have that meaning, right?
Right. Have they ever left glyphs right by your house?
Wow. Oh, God, I'm glad you asked that. This is so, yeah, they've actually, yes. My mother died a few months ago, in February, I think. And they are so loving and caring. They came and they left, first of all, they left a glyph right by my car out on the road. And they had a peel stick stuck right under the bumper. You know, there's no other peel sticks on the street. There's only one, you know, like this has happened so many times. That kind of thing where they'll put something where you just know it's them because you recognize it, and also it just has to be because it's just how it is. So, and my father had just got off the phone and told me my mother had died. So I thought, okay, I've got to go out into the woods, get some, you know, for sanctuary, peace of mind, think about things. And as soon as I got out of the car, I saw that glyph right under, you know, like stuck under my bumper, and it was like I was overcome. It was just beautiful. And then the very next day I went out and they left an open triangle glyph that pointed exactly to where they live. And also they've also left like glyphs at my townhouse that I lived in prior to this. Yeah, they have come to, they can come to your house. As a matter of fact, one appeared in my room one time, believe it or not.
I will come back to that.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask about footprints. Have you seen footprints? Have you seen scat? Have you seen any other physical evidence of Sasquatch?
Absolutely. But I'm not really concerned. You know, that's not my thing. Footprints are a dime a dozen up here, honestly. We found lots of trackways. There's soft green mossy carpet on the forest floor, and their tracks show up really well there. I mean, they also will lead us to footprints and stuff or whatever. Like, you know, I've got the feeling I've got to go here. I'll be directed to go somewhere, and I'll see a big blocky glyph or something that's nothing spectacular, but right beside it is a footprint. You know, like kind of thing.
The truth goes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Then, it is violently opposed. Finally, it is accepted as self-evident. Let me just read that again. I don't know what that means. Conspiracy Unlimited with Richard Syrett.
Bigfoot experiencer Brian Bland is here, describing his encounters with Bigfoot and their system of communication using twigs called glyphs. So let's circle back to the sighting of Sasquatch in your house.
Okay.
How did that happen? Tell me. Walk me through it.
Well, I was just actually 2 things happened. I'll tell you the first one. You know the old reel-to-reel things with the little I guess each little slide or whatever. You know what I mean? In the old movie reels.
Yes.
How it looks with the perforated edges and
yes.
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I was just laying in bed one day and I just seen it right like a vision right before my eyes. It looked like that kind of film or whatever, and it almost looked like the Patterson film.
Right.
Walking left to right, and it was like, wow. It was kind of interesting. Like for some reason, none of this stuff shakes me up. It's just because when they do stuff like that, it seems like you're ready for it. They don't. Yeah. Anyway, but the other time.
Oh no! Sorry. Let me just drill down on this one, so that I understand what you're talking about. You saw a Sasquatch as if he was on, or this individual Sasquatch was on film playing in your room, almost like what, like a hologram?
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah, it was like I was watching a little movie clip or something. Yeah, it was, and it, like I said, it looked like the perforated little things in those old reel-to-reels. It was really, really interesting how it was like that. But yeah, that's what happened.
How long did that last for?
Few seconds at least, 3 or 4 seconds, I guess.
Right. What did the individual Sasquatch look like?
It kind of looked like the Patterson film. You're familiar with that.
Sure, absolutely. That's like the Zapruder film of cryptozoology. So, yeah. Do you think they were the Sasquatch, were actually showing you the Patterson film?
I don't know. It was similar. I'm not sure. It was walking left to right, and I can't remember if it looked back like Hattie does in the film. I'm not sure, but I just remember that it reminded me of that. I think maybe it was more just walking along the tree line kind of thing. It was just very, very similar.
And did the Sasquatch in that film clip have any resemblance to the Sasquatch in Patterson's film? Did it look like it may have had mammary glands? Did it look at all the same?
It looked a lot the same. As far as if it had mammary glands, I didn't know. Like I said, it was only maybe three or 4 seconds.
Right.
It was just.
How about out in the woods then? Any sightings, any encounters, physical encounters with Sasquatch?
Can I tell you the other one in my room first?
Please. Oh, please do.
So we don't get ahead of ourselves. The other time, I had just laid down in bed, and it was like a white, misty kind of cloud appeared in my room or whatever, and then all of a sudden, it just got really, really sharp detail in the middle, and it was just like the shoulders and the head of a huge Sasquatch was just looking at me. It appeared like out of the sharpened out of the mist or the fog or whatever, and that once again lasted 3 or 4 seconds. It just kind of looked at me, and then it just dissipated.
Was that accompanied by any telepathic communication?
Not at that time, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so take me out into the woods then. What did you see?
Okay. Well, as far as sightings and whatever?
Yes.
Well, one time I was sitting with a couple friends of mine, and we were way off in the bush or whatever, and I saw what looked like a Sasquatch standing behind a stump, and I was looking at it. It didn't move, and I was really looking at it for a long time, but it was just so motionless. I thought, okay, it's got to just be a stump or my imagination, whatever. But then my friend noticed that I was looking at it, and he actually saw it walk off. So,
how large a creature was this?
This one looked like maybe a juvenile. It didn't look too big.
What color was the hair?
It was more just like a black shadow kind of shape.
Ah, okay.
Not a lot of definition, but I saw the shape, whatever. Now, there's 2 more that are really, really special. I think the first time, well, actually, I guess in the room was the first time I saw him. I never really, it's funny because people ask me how many times have I seen him, and I said like 3 times, but I don't count the one in the room, so I guess it's 4. But which is odd. I never counted that. But anyway, there was a really special time when Randy and I were in an area that we like to go to, and it's just beautiful. The rivers there and mountains, and it's just gorgeous. And we saw a glyph that was 3D. I've got to show you the picture of it sometime. It'll just blow your mind. It was 3D, all peeled. It had the X in the A. X means friendship welcome. A means RE. So friendship welcome from the clan of RE. And it had another little one, like tiny little twig that was woven into it that also had the X and the A. It was just so intricate. Now we're looking at it, and then right out of the corner of our eye, we looked to the left, and we saw a huge guy who was watching us. He wanted us to see that, and he wanted us to see him too. And this guy was 11, 12 feet tall, huge, broad, just huge. And he was like, I think he was he wasn't completely in the fully materialized state where he looked like a black shadow, but it had bulk and mass to it, right?
Right.
And he walked from left to right through the woods. It looked like he was on an escalator or whatever. It was so smooth and so fast. It was just like, went right by, and it was like supernatural. It was amazing. Yeah.
What are they leading you towards? What do they want with you?
Well, they have a message for us. This is actually the main part of it. I was walking down the trail. You see, they deal with me with energy or whatever. It's all about energy. We're energy beings anyway, right? It's all about energy. But I'm walking on the trail and I hear something shuffling in the bush to my right. And I thought, that's Roger Say, because she was kind of interacting with me at the time, the female. And I just kind of knew it was her. And all of a sudden, I got what I call was this love zap. And it was like, oh my God, it was like the most loving, I call it a universal energy, but it was the most loving, incredible thing I've ever experienced in my life. And not only was it that, it had a download of information to it. I immediately knew I'm an eternal being. We're all one. We're all connected. And I only didn't get that. It wasn't only that I got that information. I felt it. I felt like we were all one and all connected. And for like 20 minutes to half an hour, all I could do was I was just saying, oh my, oh my, oh my. It was just, it was quite something. And what they want, what they're, I mean, these days, so many people are being contacted by, different messengers or whatever about the universe and about connection or whatever. It seems like there is some kind of conscious shift going on or whatever.
Are they interdimensional? Are they extraterrestrial? Are they spirit beings that occasionally manifest in the physical world? What are they? Who are they?
Well, hang on a minute. I still wanted to talk about this other thing. So anyway, do you mind?
No, please go ahead.
So what their message is that I think that in order for us to evolve and change as a human race, we see when your consciousness is raised, you can't. You kind of you deconstruct the boxes or whatever that keep people apart. You can't even think like that. You feel the connection, the oneness and whatever. So their message is, about universal connection and oneness, and that if we raise our consciousness one person at a time, the balance will tilt, and that's when the change is going to come. That's when we're going to evolve, when enough consciousness are raised so that the light outweighs the dark, and we're going to. That's how the change is going to happen. Do you understand?
Sure. But that's kind of a universal message that is found in most of the, I guess, major religions as well. Yeah. So,
that's what their message is, though. Is that
sure? That makes sense.
Yeah. So
back to my earlier question: what are they? Who are they?
Well, they are physical beings too. They do all kinds of. They leave footprints and tracks. But I've also seen them appear out of thin air. So I guess maybe they are interdimensional.
I was speaking with Grant Cameron yesterday, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you know Grant. Has the website presidentialufo.com. He's a ufologist, and his first encounter with UFOs was back in 1975 near Winnipeg. It was called the Charlie Red Star incident. And keeping in mind, this part of Manitoba, it's prairie. There are not a lot of trees around, and there were. The Charlie Red Star was a mass sighting, and there were sightings of Sasquatch that seemed to be associated with UFOs, and not just in the Charlie Red Star case. There are many documented, eyewitness testimony of people seeing Sasquatch around the same time that they see, strange lights in the sky. What do you think of that? What's the connection, if any?
Well, that happened to me just the other day, actually. You see, what it is about, thank you for getting me back on track with my thoughts. I think, the evolved Star Nations people or whatever, they know about connection and oneness and all that. And yeah, when you think of that, it's obviously people who are having their vibrations raised are reaching out to you, because if we're all one and all connected, it's good for everybody, right? That we get on board. You know what I'm saying? So the Sasquatch, the Star people, they're all working towards that message. Like I said, different messengers or whatever. So anyway, as far as what happened the other day, my friend and I were out and we went way, way deep in the woods, and it was kind of a weird day because you just can never figure out what they're going to do. I mean, you know, opportunity is perfect and nothing for some reason, and other times just they're in charge, put it that way. You just can't predict what they're going to do. But anyway, so we're coming back after a long, long hike, and we decided there was a little place out in the woods where they had a little building set up with no walls, but it had a tin roof on it. I think it was a place where they had a lumber, where they did lumber displays, or they did, I don't know. They did something to do with lumber there or whatever, and I guess they had, I'm not sure exactly what they did, but in any event, it was a building, and we decided, okay, we'll stop here. We're almost back. And we're thinking, you just never know. You know, you have days like this once in a while. It almost felt like the energy was like not only not happening, it was almost like I don't know. Anyway, it was, we weren't feeling anything. So we got there, and then my friend said, I hear some tapping. And then we started getting the energy and feeling them. We can feel them energetically when they're around, right?
Right.
And so all of a sudden, this big, huge rock went clanging off the roof like bang. You know, we didn't see another person in the whole 10 hours. This is way, way out there. You know, there was nobody around. We didn't see another person at all the whole time. So a big rock went off the roof, clang, and then that happened like 4 times. Where they threw it off the roof. One rock landed right between us. We saw it, the fight of it, land right between us. We were facing the other way, and it landed. We saw it land right on the ground, right, just a little bit further than our feet. And then I also walked up the hill, and one landed at my feet. So it was a bunch of that that was pretty neat. And then my friend, he's really connected. He said, I feel something up above us or whatever. And we looked up, and then we saw a UFO zigzagging. It looked like almost like a silver disc or something, but it was zigzagging around, and it went into a cloud, and it never came out or whatever.
What's with this rock throwing business? We hear a lot about that. Were they trying to scare you off, get your attention? What's that all about?
Hi, we're here.
Hi, we're here. Okay.
Yeah. They've never done anything to me that was anywhere that I thought of as aggressive or anything like that. Right. It's just a lot of people think that, but no, it's just like quite often. Sometimes they'll just throw a little rock right in front of you on the path, and it's just like, we're here. Hello, kind of thing.
What about the smell? We often hear about this pretty pungent smell associated with Sasquatch. Have you ever caught whiff of one of them?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've smelt them when they were invisible right beside me. And the reason I know that is because this is another odd thing. My friend and I were at a lake, and we could smell them beside us. We knew they were beside us. We could feel them. You know, we've got a pretty good connection with them now, energetically. We can feel them when they're around. Initially, it was kind of like a third eye thing. I got a feeling in my third eye, and then something would happen. But things evolve as it goes on. But anyway, so we smelt them, and we knew they were beside us. And then this is really weird. They'll scan you and check you out, whatever. I felt one actually go inside of me, and it felt like a light switch or something was turned on. Yeah, it was really bizarre.
I'd have to say, Brian, in all the years I've been doing the radio program and talked about Sasquatch, I've never had anyone sort of come at it from this perspective. This is the first I've really heard of this type of communication through glyphs and so forth. Is fascinating. Listen, we'll have to continue this discussion. Maybe down the road we'll do a part 2, and I'm sure by the time we speak again there'll be further encounters and further glyphs and further details. Absolutely fascinating, and thank you so much for reaching out to me. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Can I just tell you one thing, though?
Yes.
I don't jump to conclusions or whatever. It's like when you come to an understanding of something with them, they've brought you to that point. It's like an education, right? You're ready to, you know what's happening when it happens, like, because they've advanced you to that point. So, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Sounds like there's a book here, Brian, for sure.
Well, perhaps.
Sasquatch Glyphs, absolutely. Thank you so much for this, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Me too, man.
Oh, how do we follow you on Facebook? Where do we see these pictures?
Okay, well, it's Brian Bland from Maple Ridge. I share everything publicly, like I said. I don't want to make anything off of it. I just want people to. I just want to share the message, right? The love, the beautiful thing about them. That's all I want to do. So everything is on my Facebook page. I've got thousands of glyph pictures. I've written some, little stories about my encounters, thoughts, stuff like that. So if anybody wants to contact me and talk or whatever, just go on my Facebook page and get a hold of me there. I don't really go in many groups anymore because I don't want to be distracted. I just find that I'm not saying weird realities, but I'm pondering other people's realities too much. And then I find, wait a minute, I'm getting too distracted. I've got to keep on my path, right? So.
Right. Brian Bland, B-L-A-N-D, Brian Bland of Maple Ridge. That's in BC. You can check him out on Facebook, these pictures of glyphs and so forth, and feel free to contact him through his Facebook page. Again, Brian, thank you so much. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thanks, Richard. It was my pleasure.
Thanks, Brian. We'll definitely speak again. Now, before I dim the lights in my little studio beneath the stairs, I'm going to tell you what's coming up on Conspiracy Unlimited. But first, let me ask you, do you own a dog? How would you like to develop your dog's hidden intelligence and eliminate bad behavior and create the obedient, well-behaved pet of your dreams? A woman named Adrienne Ferricelli, a professional certified dog trainer, has helped hundreds of dog owners train their dogs to be well-behaved, obedient, loving pets by bringing out the hidden intelligence inside the dogs. You can quickly eliminate any behavioral problem your dog has, no matter how badly you think it's ingrained, and no matter what kind of dog you have. The science behind this is simple. You may have heard of neuroplasticity in the human brain. Well, our brains are capable of learning new behaviors because of neuroplasticity. Well, your dog's brain has the same plasticity, and with the right mental stimulation that Adrienne teaches, any dog's brain will become more open and receptive to learning new information. Your dog will listen to you and understand what you want it to do. And when this happens, bad behaviors simply fade away as more desirable ones appear in their place. So, if you want to check out this remarkable dog training system, just visit realbusinessbargains.com. That's realbusinessbargains.com. realbusinessbargains.com. Coming up on episode 74 of Conspiracy Unlimited, an update on the Paris M6 car crashes, one of the most bizarre mysteries of the 21st century. You might want to re-listen to episode 35. That will get you up to speed for my conversation with Colin Hall on this fascinating story. Until next time, I'm Richard Syrett. So long for now.
A new Conspiracy Unlimited with Richard Syrett drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at conspiracyunlimitedpodcast.com. Blow your mind. That is all for now.